Hi everyone, I'm Ritzi, and today I would like to talk to you about the power of a nobody. Being called a nobody might sound like an insult, but what if I told you that being born a nobody might have just been the best thing that ever happened to many people? However, the world doesn't really see it that way. It worships the somebodies, the verified, the followed, the Forbes listed, and it quietly ignores the nobodies, the broke, the background, the overlooked. And I have to say, in this thing, the world is wrong. Think about it. The world rewards those who look the parts. The influencer with the perfect feed, the celebrity with the perfect lifestyle, the entrepreneur with the page polished perfect deck, the student with the 10 extracurriculars. We tend to seek validation from the outside so much that we actually might forget who we are on the inside. But being a nobody comes with a power that's invisible to most. Because when you start from the bottom, you have nothing to lose, everything to gain, and no one to impress. I remember doing my first few inter-school volleyball matches. I wasn't picked in the team. I was expecting to be chosen, so obviously I felt a bit sad. However, it freed me, so I continued my journey on the side, and finally the day arrived when I was a part of the team. I got to showcase my natural game, and guess what? I got voted as the most valuable player, which meant I secured a permanent place in the team. Now that is the power of being a nobody. People don't really expect much from you, so when you actually deliver, it speaks louder than words. When you're a nobody, you're not weighed down by the fear of falling because you're already on the floor. You can't go down any further, and therefore the path up becomes the only way. The truth is, everyone born a societally overlooked nobody is born wearing the almost same invisible label. Not a name, not a destiny, simply the motive to do something. And again, that label echoes louder the less the world expects you to. The truth is, most of the world's greatest somebodies began as nobodies. Steve Jobs, who was previously the CEO of Apple, he was adopted at birth and dropped out of college. Jeff Bezos, previously the CEO of Amazon, he started as a work in a garage with a desk made out of a door. Oprah Winfrey, she was fired from her first TV job. And today, she has her own media empire. Ralph Lauren, he was a clerk who sold ties. And today, he has his own fashion empire. The list never stops, and it never will. The truth is that they didn't rise because they were trying to look successful. They rose because they continued their efforts and mastered their skills. Because slowly they moved up the ladder. Because they refused to let circumstances define them, define their destiny. They didn't sit around curating a perfect LinkedIn bio or perfecting their image on social media. They weren't interested in looking successful, they were interested in being fundamentally strong. In today's age, everyone wants to be someone valuable. The truth is, nobody will take you seriously until they have no choice but to. They all will ignore you when you show up, mimic you when they see results, and finally call you a genius once you have already won. But you know what is really dangerous amidst all of this? Being a nobody, or at least knowing yourself that you have become that somebody. Because when you believe you're a somebody, you think you've arrived, reached that pinnacle. You tend to become allergic to humility. And that forgetfulness, it can destroy everything. I've seen it. The children of the top 1% of the world wouldn't know the suffering of the bottom 25%, who in some cases survive off $1 a day. Those 1% children who define a hard day as one where their Wi Fi connection was slow. They never learned how to suffer well. Everything was served to them with a silver spoon, which killed their grits. They were only used to the filtered air of comfort, which eventually killed reality. They thought everything was entitled, which killed their hunger. And these somebodies, they know the struggle of choosing between an avocado toast and a smoothie bowl for breakfast, and the trauma when Starbucks runs out of oat milk and only has almond milk left. While the nobodies, they're busy trying to figure out how to stretch a $5 bill for a whole day. Now that seems more like a challenge, doesn't it? And I'm not jealous of these somebodies. I genuinely feel bad for them. Because struggle, that's where character is born. Discomfort, that's where the drive is forged. And being a nobody, that's where the actual fire starts. I've been around a few somebodies. They're a bit exhausting to be around because they take themselves a bit too seriously. But nobodies? They're light, they're real, they're too busy doing than busy appearing. Now that's the mindset of a nobody. Peace, even in the chaos, focus, even in the noise, and drive, even in the silence. And maybe, just maybe, that's what we need to hear more often. That it's okay not to be noticed for a while, and it's okay to be invisible for a while. Because your journey does not end when no one's watching, and your worth certainly does not decrease when no one's clapping. Sometimes the most powerful transitions happen in the dark, in the silence, away from the spotlight. Because when you have nothing, you value everything. When you have nothing to lose, you do everything. So, no, I still believe that being a nobody, born being a nobody, is the best thing that ever happened to many people. Because that is where the satisfaction of building your own journey starts. Because, let's just say, in a world obsessed with being a somebody, the real flex might just be mastering the power of being a nobody. Thank you.